Well, hello, hello, welcome.
Hello.
Excellent.
This is exciting.
So we're just letting people stumble in today. Let's see. Oh, excellent, good. Looks like we've got Judy in as well. And a couple others are stumbling, which is perfect.
Where do I have this?
So, Alicia, it sounds like there may be a radio on in the background. Is that right?
There we go.
Awesome, thank you. That'll just
Radio is
clarify the
off.
stuff. Sweet! Perfect. We've got a couple other people wandering in. We'll give everyone maybe about 2 more minutes, and then we can start this all up. Excellent. I'm glad that we've got Judy here, who has planned a lot of meetups, and will have lots of experience to share with us as well. She's muted right now, but I'm going to see if I can unmute her. Unless it's on her side, in which case I have no control over that. Yeah, Judy, I think you're still muted.
Am I muted now?
Nope, now you're rock solid. Awesome. It also looks like we've got 4 viewers coming in. Let's see if we can find out who our friends are. You're going to tell us Google?
I didn't know it was going to call my phone. It's kind of neat.
Let's see what happens. Yeah, it'll just show up wherever it can find you. There's no escape. Something in at you. that works. Excellent. Well, I say there's no time like the present. Why don't we dive into this? So, welcome to our fancy first Google Hangout for the year. So this is going to be a pretty informal, just sort of like office hours Q&A session for us to talk about, how we can goose our meetups to get more attendances or attendees out. And some of that's going to be just like, what do we do on our meetups to make it look a bit more friendly? And some of that is going to be a little bit more about like writing event descriptions that are just really clear and attractive to people. And I know all of you have got like lots of experience there, and so we can sort of share what we think has worked out really well. But why don't we do a quick roundabout and do some introductions, since I think many of us have met before, but there are definitely some new people here as well, especially Alicia, who I think is just coming into our network. So, Judy, why don't I put you on the spot? Why don't you do a quick intro with your name, your group, and a thing you've learned from hosting meetups?
I'm Judy Hallman. Are you hearing garbled sound like I am? No?
No.
I've got about a 30-second delay, and then everything's repeated.
Oh, that sounds awful.
It is.
Perhaps you can disconnect and reconnect and see if that helps resolve some of the issues.
So continue without me.
Okay, we'll do that. Birgit, do you want to do a quick intro just to say, again, your name, your location, and what you've learned from hosting meetups? Oh, we got you on mute.
It's going to be the way the whole thing goes.
Welcome to our technical good times. Birgit, we've got you on mute. I don't know how to... I think it's on your side. I'm not able to release it. Nope, we're not hearing you. Sorry. Wow, isn't this madness? All right.
Best part is these are supposed to be technology.
I know. This is our standard story. I'm not quite sure why we're having no luck with that. Sigh. Well, we know for sure that we can hear you, Alicia. Why don't you talk a little bit about, your group and your next steps?
Okay, well, our group is brand new. I haven't learned much about hosting a meetup because our first one is in 2 weeks from today. And so far, I'm having a blast figuring out all these different technology things. Eli here is incredibly helpful introducing to technology. This is my first Google Hangouts conversation.
Well, you've been more successful than most, so congratulations.
I blame it on my brand new phone. It's 2 weeks old and functioning perfectly, apparently. It's not me. But yeah, we're in Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin. It's a small town, an hour and a half east of the Twin Cities, if anybody knows where that is. But just happy to be here. I won't contribute too much. I'll mostly be listening and hanging out, but I leave it up to Eli to lead us here.
All right. That's a terrible decision on your part, but here we go. So, Tony, I've got you currently muted as well, but if you want to unmute and do a quick intro, that'd be fabulous.
I am unmuted. Can you hear me?
Rock solid.
Okay. And I don't have the fancy headset like you, so if we get any reverb, that's what's going on there. So, yeah, I'm Tony Caulfield. I'm the IT manager at Screenshare in Las Vegas. We've been doing ours since, what, October, I believe. Not 100% sure what works and what doesn't work. Grant writing apparently does work. And I've noticed that I've actually been getting a lot of people from the IT community in. They see it as a networking thing. No matter how many times I try to change the description to include the nonprofit stuff. But, you know, just like anything in nonprofit, I use it as a recruiting opportunity. And I have gotten myself volunteers and a couple of other organization volunteers. So I try to take advantage of that situation when possible. And so far, it's worked out really, really well. I got my SharePoint wikis done. You know, we just started IT Works here in Vegas, and I got them an instructor. So that was pretty helpful.
Nice. Yeah, that's, I think, one of the powers of being the organizers. You get to be like that central point where all the information and relationships flow. And some of that turns into volunteers and help for you, so all the better.
Bro, man.
So, Birgit, do we have any more luck with you this time? Very quiet, but you are hearable. Oh, too quiet. No, unfortunately it doesn't. You know, and just a reminder for all of you, if you go to the top and hit the gear icon, that's where you can actually change your audio and all your sound sources, just to make sure it's picking up sound from the right source as opposed to some mystery place. Excellent. Well, I'm glad that we have Judy in now, rock solid. Judy, do you want to do a quick intro?
I'm Judy Hallman, Chapel Hill, North Carolina, NC Tech for Good. What else do you want to know?
I want to know what you've learned from being a meetup organizer.
Oh. No.
Just shut me down. Like, okay. Excellent. And we have one addition. Joyce Betancourt has just showed up. Joyce runs like a whole virtual world, which she can tell you about. Joyce, do you want to just tell us really quickly, like your name, where you're based out of, and a little bit about the community you serve? And then the last question is, what have you learned from being a host of that community?
All right. So hi. Yep. So I'm Joyce Betancourt. I kind of have multiple hats, but one of them is that I am the community manager of a completely online virtual community of practice for nonprofits. It's called Nonprofit Commons, and it's a long-standing community that actually Susan Tenby, once of TechSoup, now of Caravan Studios, but still under that thing, had started long ago. And we have folks from around the world, so it's different than, say, a lot of the NetSquared groups in the fact that it isn't as geography-based, so it isn't like localized. But a lot of the content that gets shared is still very similar, you know. So a lot of the, you know, whether it be best practices for various social media or nonprofit-related, you know, tech stuff, or folks sharing their work, it's just, you know, just doesn't have the geography boundary stuff. And I think one of the things kind of I've learned or taken from being an organizer of a community like that is at least in my case, I kind of take it as it's sort of my job to share, not only share kind of my experience, but also kind of like nurture and funnel them towards the things that they might need, whether that be learning sort of certain tech skills that they want to pick up, and kind of keeping kind of an ongoing poll of what the various folks that meet up might need, and sort of addressing that via the things that we cover. So.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I'm glad that you've joined us. So, Birgit, how do you sound now? Are you still super quiet? Yeah. Just heard that, and yes, I heard your joke. Well, I guess we'll keep proceeding. In the meantime, feel free for all of us. We can open the group chat as well. And to open the group chat, you'll just click the blue chat icon in the very top left of your Google Hangout window. At least that's where it is for me. I know it changes every couple weeks as Google futzes and plays with the whole user experience. So why don't I quickly start off and just say like what I've learned from doing this NetSquared Vancouver thing for about 7 years. And none of it's rocket science, but it's just sometimes useful reminders. So the number one thing that I've learned as being a meetup organizer is that if there are no events scheduled, nobody joins your event. And that is just the number one truth of the matter. I know exactly. Tony's like, what? And so therefore, I like to have usually about 3 events scheduled, and I of course don't actually know the details of all those events, but sometimes all I'll do is I'll just put like, if I just have the date and the topic, and I don't even have the presenters detailed yet, I just still put that into Meetup, just so I have a good sense of just like, what's coming up. And one, having those events in there keeps me accountable, because now I'm like, oh, I publicly said I was going to do an event on this topic on this date. Better find a presenter. And then the other piece is it gives potential new members to the meetup a much better sense about what you're actually about, and therefore they're more likely to join an event. I've got a comment here from Tony about scheduling at events. I didn't quite follow. Do you want to just ask that question?
Just messing with you, man. Just messing with you.
Okay. Remember, I'm from Canada. We don't understand sarcasm or jokes. It's a bit of a congenital problem.
I know 100% that is untrue.
See, again, I don't know how to read that. I'm confused again.
Yeah, I think that's just you. I don't think that has anything to do with Canada.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So that to me is like just the hint, which is schedule events into the future. Make sure that there's always at least 1 to 3 events scheduled. But I totally recognize that you're not actually usually going to know the details later, or sometimes the details will change. And I still say, like, it's awesome. Just get in, like, what I call the stub of the event, just the title and the date, and that's enough usually to get people into the event, and then you can always change the details there. The other suggestion I have, and I'll just show you on the screen share, is obviously NetSquared city name doesn't really tell you anything, does it? And so there's some settings in Meetup that you can work on to make it easier for people to find your event. So I'm going to turn on the screen share right now, and I will show you some of the 2 things you can do. So hopefully you're now seeing my Meetup screen. Did that work?
No.
No.
Okay. Well, then I will try something else. I don't know what present to everyone means. I have no idea what that
Only be
means.
so bad.
All right. Well, this is going to work. How about this?
That worked.
Excellent. Good, good. So then I'm just going to go and walk you through this. So the first thing you can do, and this is something only I think I can do, but I'm happy to help you at any point, is you'll see here at the top, I have added Tech for Good to the event title. Just because NetSquared doesn't mean anything in every community, so sometimes it's very helpful if you don't have Tech for Good in your title already, and some of you do, is to add something like Tech for Good or nonprofits and technology into the actual event title. And that's something I can go into the settings and help you with. But there are a couple of other things you can do that will make it easier for people to find you. So the primary way that people discover meetups is they use these section here. You can see I'm highlighting the what we're about. And within there, you can put up to 20 different topics. And that's how Meetup does its cross-promotion when someone joins. They get that new person to say, well, what topics are you interested in? And then basically they do a match and a marketing email if they suggested the same topics you did. And so a good practice is from time to time is to go and change out these topics. And so the way you can do that is you go into here into the group tools and then go into your group settings. And then from there you'll see right here on the right there's an area called topics. And so you click in there and that's where you can start changing some of your topics. So I'm going to get rid of web analytics, and instead I'm going to put, what's the hot topic? Let's do something about data. People are big into data these days. So I'm going to put in data analytics. And you'll see right here, you can see how many people have also entered in that same topic. So you know that, like predictive analytics, 0 groups, not very popular. But some of them are much more popular. So you want to sometimes choose what's being used by other people. So you could put in something like database professionals and drop that in, and then you click submit. And so this is a way for you just to go and choose some of the more popular topics, and also just change it out from time to time so that way you have a chance to find new people for your community. So those are the 2 ways I've definitely found a way to sort of drive more people. The last tip is a bit of a SEO tip, which is to say you can change the actual URL for your meetup at any time, and Meetup will automatically redirect your old version. So if you want to go NetSquared Vancouver Nonprofits Technology Social Change and have that as your URL, you could certainly go in with my help. I could change that URL for you, and then your old one would continue to work as well. It would redirect. So those are some of the ways I've worked within Meetup just to sort of drive a little bit more traffic to the site. How else have you guys used Meetup over the years to sort of bring more people into your community? And to turn off the screen share, cancel. Did that work?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Excellent.
That's funny.
I see somebody's desk.
So when you guys write oh, interesting, we have a new person. Williams just showed up. Right. Let's see if he comes in all the way. So what have you guys found have worked really well for actually writing your event description or your event title? Do you have any tips on what you typically do when you create your events?
Designs for newsroom.
Very good. I'm going to put you on the spot here. Oh wait, I can't hear you, can I?
Well, I don't know if you can hear me.
You sound amazing!
Yes.
All right, step 1.
was
Do your intro. Do your intro. Tell us, your name, your city, and then what you've learned from being a meetup organizer.
Yeah, well, my name is Birgit, and I'm the Tech for Good Southwest Florida co-organizer. And in the 3 years that I am co-organizer of that, and with being a regional ambassador for NetSquared, I learned that a lot of people are much smarter than I am, and I need to increase the number of people that I communicate with to get smart too. So I always depend on the wisdom in the room. I also learned you cannot make people come to your event if they don't want to. So keep trying, put different events together, and see what sticks, mix it up a bit, and then use the people that are in the room. And if it doesn't matter if there are 10 people or 25 people, those who show up, that's your audience, and that's our speaker's audience, and that's who we deal with. I can bother, or not bother, but I cannot kind of worry about the hundreds of people that don't show up when I'm in a community that has a lot of nonprofits and they're not showing up. It's just not yet the time. So these are the different kind of things what I did. Judy just asked in the chat window, what was the problem? Well, I don't know. But I did what I always do when computers are misbehaving. It's a bad robot day. I reboot my computer. And I don't think I missed a lot because I also logged in with my phone. But of course, you couldn't hear me there either. So that's, yeah. Reboot the computer and try it again.
Yeah.
Exactly. It works with event planning too, as you say. They didn't show up? Well, we'll try it again next year.
Right.
Getting out solved my problem too, because when I got out, I realized I was still in. And then I knew I had been in there twice.
Oh, yeah.
Totally. Hangouts are super confusing. So actually, I've just got Christy from Portland. Doesn't have a camera, but she's entered in her comments, and I'm going to read that out on her behalf. So Christy says, I'm with the Portland group, and what she's learned from hosting meetups is that exciting headlines, clear information about what is being presented, and presenter bios are sort of key. For an example, she had the CTO of Drupal last meeting, and so we stated the techiness level of the event. They have 2 meetups this month on storytelling. The one earlier in the month was a presentation, whereas the next one this month is at a Portland Community Center, and it's super hands-on and about how to use your phone to create film and video. So there were new iPad holders with mini boom mics, and our attendees got a discount if they wanted to sign up for further classes to check out the equipment.
Cool.
And then she said, second comment from her is, this year we did another planning session for the whole year, and we post the dates and the topics with more to follow on the meetup page, so like I was suggesting as well. We decided to do 2 events every month versus two every month, so we could be more impactful with our presentations and presenters, which is super hardcore, says Eli in his aside comment.
Yes.
I only do maybe 2 events a year with 2 events, so that's amazing on the Portland team. And her final piece is, before every presentation, we have 30 new members join, either because they got to our page from the speakers or because the topic interests them. So they've been actually having a lot of success, it sounds like, with Meetup.
Which that's a good point of making, like, enabling your presenters to also do promotion.
Yeah,
sometimes I wish they would take the opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
And some of that is, of course, giving your presenters who, as Christy mentioned, are some of your very best marketers for your event, and they have their own communities. You know, give them the tools, give them the preset tweets. I'll show you what I'm currently doing on the event pages here in Vancouver, just around my event descriptions. Again, I'm not the world's strongest writer, but I think it gives you a sense of just putting all the pieces in one place to increase clarity. So I'll do a screen share again, just to show you how we're currently handling that here in Vancouver. And if others have an event they particularly like, they're welcome to also turn on the screen sharing so that way they can show what's happening. So let me see if I go here, share, moving over. There we go. How about this? Did the screen share come through?
Yes, sometimes.
Excellent. Well, let me blow up the screen a little bit and see if that helps a little bit. So here's a recent event we did around creating partnerships with local businesses. And so what we did here was we put like a really bold, like sort of, you know, the head, like here's the short pithy version, and then we gave a description about what the panel is going to be. And we tried to be just really clear about expectations. So we put in, here's our agenda for the breakdown of the day. And then we put in here a bit about our host. And then we have a little section for each one of our events, basically helping attendees give us a little bit of Twitter love through the event. So I list out all of the speakers, and then I give also their Twitter handles for each one. And we find that it helps a little bit before the event for people to help, like attendees to help promote the event, and they often do so. But most importantly is during the event itself, it's very handy for attendees to have a single page that they can go to sort of basically help live tweet the event. So we put all of the key Twitter handles and hashtags here in this one space. We also do the event sponsors, and we always have like probably at least 2 people at every event who spontaneously, without our pushing, are actually sending out some tweets, doing some sponsor love. So that's a really nice way to have some sponsor love happening online that isn't coming just from you, so you get to sort of diversify that. So that's really nice. And then the last thing that we do, and we stole this from either Portland or Seattle, I actually forget now, is we have a standard accessibility statement that we put at the bottom of our events. And so this is something we borrowed from another conference. And all it is basically saying how mobile friendly is our venue, what is our hearing access like, and like what is the site access like. And of course we can't solve every need. You know, we have to be very upfront and say we have an event that is on the 2nd floor and there's no elevator, so it's just not wheelchair accessible. But setting those expectations is super valuable, and it's also a reminder to us that sometimes our events aren't as accessible as we would like. So that's one interesting approach you can do. The other thing which I think is super cool, I'm just going to show you one more thing, and this is something I stole from Philadelphia. So what Philadelphia does at the beginning of each of their events, and I don't always do this because sometimes I'm lazy, but it's very, very handy, is, come on, you. Bring me the right page. So what we've got here is basically a little blurb, and right now it's at NetSquared/about, and I'll just drop that URL in. But what's really great about this is this tells you exactly who you want to be at your event and why they should attend. So what they typically do is they break it down in a similar format to this, and I totally encourage you to steal this. So they usually say like, nonprofit staffers should go to this data event because it's going to teach you how to make like data-informed decisions. And then it's like technologists and consultants should come here because it's going to help you learn about what your potential clients and customers need. And then it's like, and then they often have like activists and community organizations should come because it's going to help them report more effectively on the reports to donors or something like that. But they try and put in like just one sentence for the hook for exactly why the different core members of their audience should come. And it makes me really think of how Tony's basically trying to speak to nonprofits in his community and also these technologists, and to sort of just be really upfront in the event description to say, these are why different kinds of people should attend might be a helpful approach.
They just don't read, man.
Which is surprising, of course, because the nonprofit sector is mostly all ladies. But yeah, I totally hear that.
No, it's the techies that don't read. They just see tech meetup. Okay, I'm there because I need a network.
Mm-hmm.
But
give them time. They will eventually learn where they're welcome and where it's just not the right place.
okay,
And then there's one.
it's a development opportunity.
Mm-hmm. So I've got one other thing I just want to show you while I'm here, which is sort of a related thing, and I stole this idea from the New Orleans group. So you'll see right here in the left column of every meetup that there is a sponsor section. And so, you know, you've got here like TechSoup or some of the other sponsors, my venue sponsor here. But what they put into their first page here is basically a your name here call-out blurb. And so all it really does is it links to, in my case, a section of our website that has like the more information for sponsors. But it's really nice that you get to right there in the sponsor section basically put out a space for potential sponsors on your group. And again, if you're looking to basically just copy and paste that, you can just steal it from my group here. And so that's one way just to integrate in recruitment of sponsors into a on the front page, more visibly accessible place than otherwise it would be if you hid it away, say in like the About Us section of the Meetup page. So those are some of the ideas that I've been kicking around with for just sort of generating the group. Let me turn off the screen share and we'll go back to the rest of the group. So what do you guys think? Do any of those ideas resonate for your group?
Couple of them.
Yes, certainly.
I'm definitely going to steal that your name here kind of thing.
Again, which I stole from other groups. So yeah, definitely feel free.
And I liked even what you've done in the What is NetSquared, like in breaking down, like you said, who should be there and what they might find of interest. I think that's good.
Yeah.
It's different in my world than the majority of NetSquared organizers because we're not using Meetup, so we're just using the website. And then we do echo that sometimes to get it on people's calendars by using like Google Plus, because we have sort of a Google Plus community too, that if they're part of that, it shows up on their Google Calendar if I make an event there. You know, so it's a different kind of saying that yes, I will go mechanism than Meetup.
Cool. Yeah, so that sounds really helpful. Yeah, just again to access the power of calendars and getting people's faces that way.
Mm.
So I definitely would also encourage each of you to play around with changing some of those 20 topic descriptors for your meetup group, because I think that's one way you can again put in some of the keywords to attract some of the audience you want. And in Tony, you may want to take a look and say, maybe you want to pull some of the technical topic descriptors from your meetup, because I put those 20 in when I created the meetup for you, but I'm coming at them pretty haphazardly.
I changed them while you were showing it.
Okay, great. Yeah, so hopefully that will help out a little bit, because I did just put in like some general suggested topics when I create each meetup, but they're not always as intentional for the audience you may want to actually be recruiting.
Yeah, and I think for me, actually going with the kind of even the non-technical for nonprofit, which was the grant writing 101, really worked out really well, and it brought in, I think, definitely a lot of people that normally wouldn't have come, and I used that opportunity to kind of give a little 5-minute spiel about what is Tech for Good before handing it over to my speaker, and a lot of light bulbs went off in the group. So the other thing I've learned, honestly, overall, and it was said early on, is that not everybody's going to attend every meetup. It's just really based on the topic and what it speaks to them. If I'm presenting on volunteer management and everybody's like, well, I feel like I got this down, then they're not going to show up to that one. If they're like that one, grant writing, if they don't have anything to do with grant writing, then they may not show up, but they'll show up next month to donor man. So it's, you just got to keep at it and not get discouraged by the low money.
Yeah, I think that's totally true, which is like some of the key is just like the commitment to doing this once a month, even though the crowds are going to come and go, knowing, as others have mentioned, that every event is going to bring in some new people and therefore going to grow the community, and it's sort of this long-term investment.
Yeah, well, and of course, I've already changed mine to where I am once a month, but not holiday month, so, being in the U.S., I am skipping the 5th of July.
Smart.
Because everybody will still be hungover from the 4th of July. That, or if I know there's a major event in town that would impact, either me or some of my participants, then I go ahead and skip that month. So when we get closer to the holiday season, then we'll keep out on a couple of those.
Awesome. And from Christy, I just copied and pasted another example of their basically boilerplate for why particular kinds of audience members should want to participate, and I put that into the group chat window as well.
That list of topics that you brought up in the beginning, I sort of missed the beginning. Is that somewhere?
Yeah, I'll actually drop the URL. Basically, to get to the topics area, you're going to go into your group tools, And I'll send actually, I'll put the URL in here since it's a pretty standardized URL topics. So it basically just goes like here. Like this. So how to find topics. So that would just be here, and it would be group name. So it looks a bit like this. So basically it's meetup.com/group name, and then you basically would just take that last part of the URL, the /manage/settings/topic. And that'll get you directly into that page if you don't want to navigate through the UI. So basically I tried to say like we were going to keep this on half an hour, and with our AV jumps back and forth, we're kind of on schedule for there. So at this point, if those of you need to leave to keep on the rest of your schedules for the day, I totally understand, and I really thank you for being part of this. Our goal is to hold something informal like this about once a month through the rest of the year. Some of them will be Hangouts, some of them will be Slack chats, some may be on Twitter. We're going to sort of change up the platform to help those in different time zones and with different levels of internet accessibility to participate. If you were looking for a topic that you'd really want for the next session like this, where we get to sort of do a little bit of a group brainstorm, what kind of things do you really want some help with your group?
For me, it would be recruiting sponsors.
Interesting. Cool, because yeah, so the upcoming events we've tentatively committed to are co-organizers, and basically how to work with like your local volunteers. We've got another one talking about some really quick and dirty event topics you can do yourself without necessarily having to recruit a presenter, or if a presenter like disappears on you. But I think sponsors would be a great topic, and I've actually had a fair bit of success with that over the last year and a half after having no success for a long time. So I've got some templates and some thoughts around that as well. But I think the quick and dirty is like your presenters are often your primary leads, but it's going to change for every organization and for every group.
Right. Well, another thing I'm actually kind of figuring out right now is I actually do have somebody that HP Enterprise wants to sponsor a cocktail party, and I'm trying to figure out, how do I determine what the best venue would be for that, and what's a good topic when I already know I'm going to have the draw off of free alcohol. But I also know it's free alcohol, so we don't want anything too in-depth. So, I mean, I really kind of want it to be, I think I actually probably want to do more of a meet and greet type of scenario and maybe less topic-based, maybe.
Right. To do a social style event. Who here does social events once or twice a year? Anyone else?
Yeah, we did one in December.
NC Tech for Good does December and March.
Right, so it sounds like December is like a very popular social month for a lot of the groups. Judy, is there a reason why you picked March, or is it just sort of a good time for you typically?
It's spring, and it helps us promote the conference.
Right.
This time we got 2 sponsors and 2 speakers out of about 8 people who came to the social.
Wow, cool.
Yeah, no, that's actually that's a really great way to bring in your wider community, to like bring in all your old presenters, to bring in potential sponsors who you might want to get more involved with the community, and just say like, come to this social event. I think that's a really great suggestion. And I'm actually just looking through from Christy here on the other page, and she's suggesting that some review of what's in the organizer's handbook and the toolkits might be another useful topic, as is sort of networking with other groups, which is sort of part of what we talked about in our last Slack chat, but I think we can come back to that as well. So that's basically like toolkits and the organizer's All right, so we've got Josh here as well, who is mute at the moment, but like Josh, certainly feel free to type in your questions here in the box. The rest of you, as I've sort of promised, if you need to escape, I totally respect that. If you want to stay for the final 15 minutes, and we'll take this until 10:30 my time, I'm delighted to have you here. But I know that, let me not set unrealistic expectations for you.
Yeah, I gotta go, brother. Take care.
All right, well, thank you, Tony.
Bye, Tony.
Bye-bye.
I'm heading out. Bye.
See ya.
And it's too bad you don't have a mic, Josh. We could chat about story makers, which actually I'm here too if anybody has any story makers questions.
I know. So I'm really super impressed with Portland. You're like, we're going to do 2 events this month. I'm like, ooh,
Yeah.
hardcore.
I have to tell you, I mean, granted it's virtual, but still getting presenters. The Nonprofit Commons, we do it weekly, which is why it has to be, like, in order to do that, you have to have a vested enough group. And, I mean, you saw that, too, that there's a core of people that kind of keep coming back. It's kind of their community hub.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only way that works, really. I think the more consistency, I think the more frequently you can have events, probably.
So what is your process for sourcing new presenters?
Yeah, so some of it is, and granted, and you saw that they're very kind of, it's for others, it's kind of an interesting medium in some ways because it has a bit of the presence as if you were in a physical, real room. But yet, you've got a presenter that's talking, you've got people chatting at the same time about what the presenter is talking about. So it's kind of like this layered thing, like as opposed to if somebody was presenting in a venue in real life, they wouldn't be talking on top of them. But usually they're chatting about what's going on. It's sort of like what we're doing here, right? There's a side conversation that's relating to what's happening. So usually things will come, for a certain percentage of the time, things will come up, like topics or questions that arise from presentations. And if it's coming from somebody who has an insightful point and some background in it, then there's myself and a couple of the so I have like mentors, which are kind of like my volunteers that are, will kind of ask them if they want to present. Like, oh, that's a great thing. Would you love to present on that at some time? So like we kind of organically drag in people that way. Mm-hmm. And then, and then we'll also have regular kind of open forums where it'll be more conversational, sort of like the social thing in a way, but more conversational, where we'll be like, okay, let's get together and we'll kind of chat about, say, things that have topics we've covered or whatever. It'll be a bit more open floor, and that allow things to bubble up that, like, what would people like us to cover, going forward. So that's sort of where some of it is. And then I curate, a percentage of it where I'll go out looking for presenters, so like your friend at Net2, Chad. I was like, hey, I loved that you like what I did the whole accessibility tech that they're working on. I was like, would you love to present on that virtually? I know that's weird, but could you do it? And he's going to do it. So nice.
So yeah, you go to conferences to identify talent and steal presenters.
Yeah. So I'd kind of probably do that on the outside, and then I also field from the inside too, from those showing
I know, which reminds me of all the business cards I have not yet followed up with from 16 NTC. I'm like, But yeah, there'll be potential presenters for some of the NetSquared groups within that pile.
Yeah, even you guys are potential presenters at my virtual group. Come on.
See, it's beautiful. Circle of life is all connecting.
Yeah, so it's definitely challenging, and to your point, there's also a certain percentage of things that maybe at least once every couple months, or maybe sometimes once a month, I may have to jump in with a topic myself, right? Like I might have to be like, okay, what's interesting, and can I just go out and do some general research on that, or read up on a little, or even there's enough kind of various interesting articles or topics on things, and then kind of rehash that to a point where here's this topic, I'm going to bring it in and we're all going to talk about it, So there's those fillers too, to your point of what if you need a topic and there's nobody there?
Yeah. Definitely a curse of all event planners. You're like, uh-oh, okay, we have a hole.
Yeah.
It's always good to have, like, like some backup, something you can just turn to.
Yeah. So to that point too, I usually have like I'll like if I come up with interesting topics that'll bubble up, I'll sort of start a Google Doc and I'll kind of keep them aside. Maybe flesh some of them out as I have time.
Cool. Yeah. So that sounds reasonable. What do you think? Should we wrap it up here?
Sure. I don't know. Nice to see you, Bridget.
Birgit.
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 I guess it's the.
The German way to pronounce things, yeah.
Yeah.
Why not? It is your name, so only you know how to say it correctly.
No, a lot of other people do.
You're like, there are other people with my name, I swear.
Right, it's Bill and Bob in Germany, so kind of.
There you go.
Birgit, there were 3 of Birgits in my 4th grade class of 16. So.
Wow, really?
So your skill is not wasted.
No,
you will run into Birgit.
Wow.
Well, it's good to see you too, Joyce, and Eli, of course. Yeah.
So good
yeah,
to see
but
you both.
I got a scoop.
Absolutely. So second time I've taken your time today, Birgit. So time for us to run. Have fun, y'all, and I'll see you soon.
All right.